But put simply, social media is a forum for conversation. And so it's easy to get wrapped up in all of the tools that exist out there, the Facebooks and the Twitters and the YouTubes. And it's easy to see, okay, there are just so many tools, I don't even know how to get started. But don't get overwhelmed by the tools that exist. Instead, as we're going to talk about tonight, think about what can be done and what can be accomplished, and then find a tool to accomplish your objective. We broke down the whole social media world into 4 categories, which is potentially foolish because it can't be done. But the first is the online social networks. And these include things like Facebook and MySpace and LinkedIn. We have Twitter on there. eBay is one that people may not think of, but it's one of the first social media tools. Then we have media sharing and streaming, sites like YouTube and Pandora and Flickr, where you can post videos and audio and photos and share them with all of your friends. Then we have monitoring tools, and these are the things that I think a lot of you in here tonight will benefit from talking a little bit about, is how do you listen to the conversations that are happening. That's the best place to get started, and I'm kind of like jumping ahead way too much. But we'll talk more about those. I'll just stop. And then we have this 4th category that's kind of like everything else. Blogs, collaboration tools, games, and it fit in 4 squares nicely to dump everything else in this category. But there are so many tools that exist out there that are free, that allow you to collaborate with your colleagues and your peers online. And they're kind of considered social media as well. But again, don't get overwhelmed by all the tools that exist out there, because the most important thing for you to realize is that social media is all about being social. And if you start viewing these tools as just yet another channel for you to go out and broadcast your message one way, you're going to get tuned out and turned off, just like they are with our TV commercials and radio spots. So you have to remember that the social portion of social media is far greater than the media portion of it. There's a really great book out that I haven't read, but I read the introduction and back cover, called Social Media is a Cocktail Party, Why You Already Know How to Use Social Media. Something like that. Probably more clever than that. But the idea is that people get so overwhelmed by this whole new world of tools, they forget basic marketing, basic communication, basic relationship principles. And so you all seem like nice people, and it seems like you have friends in real life and the virtual life maybe. And it's not like these business principles are so radically different from what you do on a daily basis when you go out to eat or when you go to a professional luncheon. It's the same kind of thing. So don't get overwhelmed. Have I drilled that in enough? Don't get overwhelmed? All right. But I'm going to real quickly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I think you all know why you should care, but why should you care about these new social media tools? And fascinatingly, in 2008, most traditional news media outlet sources saw their audiences shrink. And that may not be a huge surprise, but 2008 was an election year. And typically during an election year, audiences rise. But people are so interested in getting the information they want when they want it, they didn't want to wait for the 6 o'clock news. They wanted to go on and go to the Google. Are you guys familiar with Google? Search engine, pretty powerful. They go to the Google and they type in Obama, and they want to get the news, what he was doing 30 seconds ago. They didn't want to wait till 6 o'clock. So they were getting the news when they wanted it, how they wanted it. This is no surprise really either. Primetime Network is seeing their audiences migrate elsewhere. People are playing video games. People are going to Hulu and watching the shows when they want. They're going to the network's websites to watch the TV shows. And they aren't sitting down at 7 o'clock on a Friday night to watch TV shows anymore. TGIF was a great idea, and I loved it. I have many hours of memories of watching Family Matters and Step by Step. And I looked like a kid on Step by Step. Completely random. If you were familiar with that show, you might know what I'm talking about. But that's not the case anymore. People aren't doing that. This number could have gone up since the last time I did this presentation, but 33, maybe I think it is 34 now, newspapers have filed for bankruptcy protection. And so, again, not a real shocker. But what might be a shocker is how prevalent social media is today. And 3 out of 4 Americans are using some form of social media. And this number could be even higher, because when you do a Google search for a topic, you hit a blog, and it doesn't look any different than a corporate website. And so I think people may not even know that they're hitting social media sites. So 3 out of 4 Americans are using social technology. Visiting social sites is now more popular than checking email. People spend more time on their social media routine than they do checking their email or responding to email. 93% of social media users believe that a company should have a social media presence. And this is a really, really tricky point. Because just because they think you should have one doesn't mean that you should have one. And just because they think that you should have one doesn't mean you are positioned to have one. There are a lot of things you need to get in order before that happens. But you think about all the numbers that we looked at, the 200 million plus Facebook users, the 3/4 of Americans who are using social media, 93% of those people think that a company should have some kind of social media presence. I think that's pretty compelling. And I think that results in the fact that for most online users, if you don't have some kind of social media presence today, you don't really exist on the internet. There's kind of I'm not sure theory is the right word. There's a thought going out there that Google is slowly being replaced by Facebook and Twitter. And that's why Google is trying to buy Twitter, and Facebook is trying to buy Twitter. Because people are now linking to sites almost as often through using Facebook and Twitter as they are through using Google. And that's a pretty huge shift as well. That these tools are now becoming kind of the gateway for people onto the internet. That they're finding out about new stores, they're finding out sales, they're finding out about promotions through these social media tools more than they are through Google AdSense or Google AdWords. It's pretty incredible. But what does it mean? What does it mean for all of you in the room today? It means that there's no longer just one medium for your message.